Hi, it's Christina. So welcome back. So I thought today we would talk about some of the, what does it look like? So what are some of the symptoms that if you have those, it may make sense that those came from the parentification trauma in your life. So for me, I definitely have anxiety. I feel like I worry a lot about everything. I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. I also have post-traumatic stress disorder. And again, those could also stem from the other traumas that I had early on in my life. But I feel like for me, the anxiety is a big one. I do worry. I worry about all my family. I worry about all my friends. I worry about, and I perseverate. I'm just one of those people that really just is always in my head. I'm overthinking everything. As far as what else, boundaries. I think that's probably one of the bigger ones, is that we have issues establishing boundaries, and we have issues really saying no. We're people pleasers. So I think for us, it's a lot of, just not really respecting what we want, right? And that leads into the next one, which is our needs are not always at the forefront, right? And I think for me, what I'm noticing as I'm getting older is there's so many things that I'm like, wait, what would my perfect day be? And I think that's a really good exercise to do, is what are all the things that I like? And it sounds so trivial, but I think for me personally, that was just never something I did. I never really just said, these are all the things that I like, right? And I think for so much of my life, because I was in, different relationships and where the focus was on that person, it wasn't there wasn't enough space for me there. So I feel like all of it was there. So, now that I feel like more of a healthy place, both in a relationship and just me as an adult, is saying, yeah, what the hell do I like to do? What do I like? Let me figure that out, right? So that's been part of what I've been working on, is really trying to identify, hey, these are the things that you need. That's another one. Because again, our needs are super important. We need to be able to communicate the needs. That's also something that I've had trouble with personally. I would say another symptom or something that I find definitely is showing itself is the lack of trust. I think for me, it was always I was a one-woman army for years, decades even, where it's if I'm not doing it myself, it's not getting done the right way, or I am not going to ask for help. I'm going to do everything myself. And even things like getting the groceries out of the car, I will literally put bags all the way up here so that I don't have to go back for a second trip, and that I don't have to ask for help, right? And my boyfriend will get mad at me all the time and say, just let me help you. I think that's probably the thing he probably tells me the most is, let me help you. I'm here. I want to help. So that's been a little bit of a transition as well for me, is trying to let other people in, let other people take the reins sometimes. And I have to tell you, it feels so good, especially if you're that one that's always planning the vacations, always doing this, always doing that. Give somebody else, and hopefully you have people in your life that you can trust that have shown you that they are able to do these things. I would say definitely let go of the reins, because it does feel so good and so empowering. And you need a break. Give yourself a damn break, because you need it. And you may not even know you need it, because you're just running on, 100% all the time. And I totally understand that. That's me all the time. I'm go, go, go. So when I have a moment to I'm what else do I have to do, right? It's hard. We don't take that space and that moment to just breathe. And I'm totally guilty of that, and I need to take my own advice. So I hope you help to hold me accountable for that when I say that I'm doing all these things and I need to take a moment for myself. But that's a big one. I think boundaries also, not being able to set boundaries, obviously not saying no, people pleasing. I think being super responsible, I feel like being responsible is a good thing, and that's a positive attribute. But when you take it to the next degree, when you're starting to just get to the point where you're overloaded, you're overwhelmed because you're taking on so many responsibilities because that's just what you're used to, that's what you do. Like, that is a red flag, right? That's a red flag that says you're over your capacity and you need a little more help. Other one would be, and this is a big one for me that I am working on right now, is not having enough play in your life. And when I think of that, and I've been doing some work with my therapist on bringing my inner child back, because I think that's so important, is having a relationship, but not using your inner child as a punching bag, if that makes sense. And not using your inner child to, like, using them to make you feel better as an adult. So what does that look like? And I'll give you an example of what I'm working on. So he asked me a few weeks ago, he said, what does your inner child want to do right now? Like, that was, and you know what? It was so wild because that question was out of nowhere. And I was just like, and then the first thing that popped in my head, and again, this is not like in line with anything that I ever do, but I'm like, I want to go down a slide. Like, there's a slide around the corner and I want to go down that slide. And I don't know where the hell that came from, but I was like, okay, like, that's kind of cool, right? Like, my inner child wants to do something fun and do that. And for me in my life, like, even now, I am all over the place. Like, I am working. I have my 9-to-5 job. I have a few small side businesses. I just recently moved in with my boyfriend, and he has 2 kids. He's a widow. So I have helped take on that role of helping with the kids. I also have my family, which is, again, my mom and my siblings, that I still help with. So it's a lot. And it kind of breaks my heart that, yeah, I haven't given myself that space to honor the child, and the inner child and what she might want. So I feel like that's a lot of the work that I am taking on myself now, is to say, okay, let's think about this. And I love to color. Like, I absolutely love to color. I have a strawberry shortcake coloring book upstairs, and I love crayons. When I was a kid, I used to get 2 boxes of crayons, one that I would leave pristine, and that's probably the perfectionist in me, but I would leave pristine, and that way I could just look at them and how beautiful they were. And then I had the other set of crayons that I would actually use to color. So I still have that coloring book, and the other day I did the exact same thing, where I got the colors and I colored. And it was magnificent. And I remember thinking, like, why don't I do this anymore? Like, why? I love it. I love these little things. I love, and then the other day I did go to the arcade, and I never buy a card for myself, ever. And I honestly think this is the first time, maybe in my whole life. Usually I buy it, because we're usually with a kid when we go to the arcade. So I will buy it for the kids that we're with, and maybe for my boyfriend or somebody else that I know likes to play games. And then I will literally just follow them around and watch them play. That's what I do. Like, maybe somebody will swipe for me and then, oh, okay, you can play that one. But I never buy a card for myself. And so this trip that we did, we went to Portland recently. And so I bought myself a damn card because I wanted to play. And it was awesome. And I and just these little things that you're like, that's not going to make a difference. But holy shit, it feels so good. And just like you're listening to yourself and you're listening to that part of you that wasn't honored, because our little inner child was not honored when we were kids. We didn't have the play then, and then now we don't have it now. So these little kids are like, what the hell? Like, you robbed us of our playtime. We didn't rob you, right? It was the situation and all of that scenario. But yeah, I think it's super important. So I would encourage you. And again, that's just a list. I know there's more things that you're probably going to know that cause that, and that other things that you're seeing that are a result of that. So I would like to know down below if there's anything else that I didn't mention that you are noticing that might be a result of the parentification that when you were younger. But I think the inner child is super important. So I encourage you to tap in, try to listen to, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And again, that question that he asked me totally threw me for a loop, but I think it's totally important to ask yourself, like, what would my inner child want to do right now if they could? If you could do anything, right? And maybe it's limited to the location that you're at, right? And we can't all go to Disneyland. But yeah, I think it's important. Listen. And I think for me, for so long, there was nothing. I ignored that voice, and it's really unfortunate. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. We will meet again in next week. So yes, I see you, and you deserve all the good things.